Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Samina Bano, Assistant Professor, Department of Psychology, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. The name of the module is Environmental Factors in Youth Crime and Juvenile Acts. First, I will explain the environmental factors and later on juvenile acts. Environment influences the youth behaviors. It is believed that criminal tendencies and behaviors are result of environment and individual interaction. Theorists believed that youth acquire aggressiveness and violence through observing the behavior of the people around them and also by their own experience of interacting with them. So, environment and heredity both plays a significant role. The interaction of both has more role to play on youth's delinquency. When the youth are being exposed to destructive and fierce environment at home, school or community, it impacts the youth's ability to process the social information. This makes the youth incompetent to understand the consequences of their own actions. This is said by Bennett, Farrington, Huseman in 2005. Miller and Dolal, 1941, a famous social psychologist. They have done several research and they concluded with it. The learning outcome is, after studying this module, you shall be able to understand the role of environmental factors in development of crime among youth, importance of healthy parenting and family environment, the negative influence of peers in making the youth to commit crimes, the importance of proper education in youth development, the role of mass media. They all are going to play a significant role. We will discuss one by one. Family factor, the first. Family is important socializing agent for the children. They help the children to learn social skills like respecting others, delaying and controlling their impulses. But there are several numbers of factors associated with family which leads to development of delinquent behaviors. The youth who are subjected to inappropriate parental behaviors like poor supervision, harsh and punitive discipline techniques, lack of parental love and care and negligent parent tend to engage in aggressive and crime related activities. This was found by Public Safety Canada in 2011. Youth from low socioeconomic background and both working and busy in catering to basic survival needs. As a result, the youth lives in alone without any supervision. In middle class families, youth are constantly pushed to excel high in academics, making the learning experience as threatening. This increases youth's chances to have depression, leading to drugs and engagement in criminal activities. Youth living in high income group families gets everything they wish from their parents. Hence, overindulgence by their parents make the youth always craving for new exciting things without having self-control on them. A case reported by Dr. Mittal about a youth found firing gun to his friend. Parents tried to protect the child and hiding his mistake. On the further exploration, it was found that father himself taught him to shoot for fun. This was found by Banerjee and Raza in 2017. So, see how things evolve. The other factor is constantly environment at home. Constant fights and use of abusive words by the parents make children prone toward delinquency. Gorman, Smith, Dolan, Schiedel and Henry in 2001, they found this. The children tend to observe such fights and then tend to imitate aggressive behavior. These youth will more likely to use violence to resolve their conflicts because whatever they see they imitate and it affects the behavior. The second is deviant peers. Peers are important part of life of youth or adolescent and have great influence on the adolescents. Adolescents try to be a part of the group and for that they will do everything without judging the decisions appropriately. Researchers believe that the delinquent and criminal behavior increases when the peers approve of such acts, when adolescents feel attached to their peers, and when they being pressurized by their peers to engage in criminal activities. This was found by McCord, Widom and Crowell in 2011. A case reported in New Delhi in 2012, June 29, when the police caught a group of 5 juveniles who entered the home of an 83-year-old woman, an attempt of robbery, and then killed her. Similarly, in Chandigarh on 18 December 2012, police arrested a group of juveniles. One of the accused found raping a girl and other juveniles were found conspiring the whole act of crime. This was brought or found with Jha in 2013. All these cases reported example states that deviant peer groups are involved in various crimes. Hence, these adolescents become more prone to experimentation of antisocial activities. Deviant peers increase the antisocial tendencies in the youth. These youth then become skeptical about the other people, actions, and this in turn increases the aggression and violent behavior for others. The peers who have low moral standards and lack of discipline make their peer group more prone to criminal and antisocial behaviors. Peer acceptance and rejection play an important role in youth's criminal behavior. That has been found with the various psychologists. Now we will discuss the third aspect, which is a poor neighborhood. Crimes by youth found to be associated with inappropriate and violent neighborhood, because where a person lives, it plays a major role on his behavior. Neighborhood helps the youth to understand about the acceptable behavior. If the neighborhood tolerates and believes in violent gang activities, then youth would also believe and act in same way. Disorganized and unhealthy neighborhood makes the youth prone to engage in delinquent and anti-social behavior. So many psychologists, they have done some research and found the same. Drugs trafficking is quite common in such environment, which again increases more violence and social disorganization in the society. And it's very rampant in today's world, even in India. Poverty-driven communities, lack of economic stability, this all leads to lack of employment opportunities in the community, making the residents engage in drug selling, robbery and prostitution. These people engage in such crimes because of immediate money. Soon it leads to building up of various gangs in the community. String theory states that disadvantaged neighborhood lead to development of negative emotions among the residents and reduction in positive experience of the residents. Such experience increases anger, frustration and violent crimes. Agnew, 1999. Migration of people in urban areas left with low level of educational background, employment and recreational opportunities for youth. These type of issues are more common in the Indian states like Uttar Pradesh and Punjab. Krishna found in 2005. During such situation, youth living in the Indian villages left with no appropriate role models who can guide them. Hence, they move out of village. They are more likely to involve themselves in crime-related activities. Now, the next is poor schooling and education. Unhealthy school environment and youth engagement in crime is connected. Research suggests that unhealthy school environment like crowded classroom, poor teacher and student ratio, lack of qualified teachers, counselors and special educators, poor condition of school building and lack of discipline, guidance and supervision to the students, all these link to higher delinquent behaviors. It increased the aggressive tendencies as well as higher rate of school dropouts. Little 2003, McAway and Welker 2001. they found this above. Rinkel and Herman in 2002 also found the similar studies. A research conducted by an NGO, Butterflies in Delhi, Children and Crime, the Behind Story, unquote. In the study, about 605 juveniles were interviewed. The report says that out of the 605 juveniles, 182 children were in correction homes. Only 43 were studying at the time of their apprehension. According to the report, school factors such as absence, underachievement and low school attachment bonding are likely to get the children attracted and associated with deviant groups and get involved in violent acts. It was also found that in Kerala, 22 out of 32, in Orissa, 38 out of 107, and in Tamil Nadu, 63 out of 284 children were studying when they committed crimes. Studies show that higher school dropouts among youth lead to lack of educational attainment and higher engagement in criminal activities. In India, it was reported that around 53% of juveniles who were arrested in 2014 were either illiterate or educated only up to the grade of 5. It was found that half of these juveniles dropped out of school even before reaching to class 5. This was found by Chauhan in 2015. This means because of the low education level, most of the juveniles are even not qualified to avail the scheme Skill India mission, as it involves basic education for up to the class 10th. They don't have any choice. They get involved in thefts, robbery, drug dealing, murder, etc. Acquisition of education helps the youth to socialize well, to learn self-control and delay the gratification to work hard. This was found by Hjalmarsson and Lochner in 2012. The next factor is mass media. Today's youth are inclined towards use of mass media and are highly influenced by it. Access to internet, television and violent games, it is almost in every household. Youth are exposed to aggression, constant, full of violence, sexually explicit by nature. Such content are less likely to be scrutinized by the adults. Research suggests the recipient of content of mass media can be active and passive. It depends how you are taking it, whether you are active or you are passive. When youth peers violent and aggressive movies, they see TV programs, videos and images or internet, then they are passive recipient of such content. When the youth play violent video games, then they are active recipient. In both cases, the youth are exposed to negative content for prolonged and repeated hours, leading to modeling and imitation of similar actions. Youth are using social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook and YouTube to promote violence against the enemy groups. It's a revenge. They enjoy doing it. Another new thing that has come up is fight compilation video available on YouTube. The youth will pick a fight uploaded on YouTube, and these types of videos are receiving a lot of likes and viewers rating. This was found by Bostic in 2014. In another study, long-term exposure to television violence was significantly related to increased levels of aggression in a sampling of 1,565 from 12 to 17 years old boys. Researchers found that boys who viewed the aggressive content on television were the most likely to commit violent crimes and engage in any other antisocial behaviors later on in their life. According to Aslam in 2015, Bollywood movies portrayed juvenile committing crime like robbery and murder. The youth immediately connect to protagonist of the story, unfortunately. While playing the violent video games, the player enters the world of virtual reality. During such situation, his rational thoughts are suspended and he thinks the virtual world as reality, leading to arousal of the aggressive scripts and feelings. These aggressive feelings and thoughts get rewarded or reinforced when the player wins the level and move into another level. Bartlett, Anderson and Swing, they found this in 2009. Researchers observed that because of playing games like Mortal Kombat by college male students increased the arousal and hostility in them. Now the summary part for this environmental factor. Above factors suggest that there are multitude of causes playing in the development of youth crime. All these causes play and sync with each other in making the youth engaging into antisocial and criminal activities. Development of youth does not happen in vacuum. It is impacted by the different agents in the environment like parents, peers, schools and community. If youth experience unhealthy parenting, then they experience distress involved in themselves in deviant activities and psychological adjustment issues. In order to curb the issues of youth criminal activities, we need to provide positive environment and role models to the youth. Now we will take the second aspect of this module, that is juvenile acts, starting with the introduction of the crime. Juvenile crime is one of the serious problems faced by the country today. The concern regarding juvenile crime is shared by government and public at large. The youth crimes are on increase and youths are charged of crimes like robbery, murder and gang rape. These young people are not fully developed and mature. Researchers believe that teens' brain is still maturing, that's why they are still not able to take sound and appropriate decisions. The area in the brain which works on pleasure and immediate gratification is highly active. Hence, it is most likely that these youth will make mistakes. These youth should be treated differently from the adult criminals. Therefore, there are different laws and acts for youth who commit crime in different parts of the world. The learning outcome of this part is that after studying this module, you shall be able to understand various types of youth crimes, laws and acts for youth, offenders in world and India, development and transformation as laws and acts, importance of provision, rehabilitation services provided to young offenders. Now we will discuss the types of juvenile crimes. First, it is individual crime. This refers to crimes done by an individual. The reason for individual crime stems primarily from defective or faulty or pathological family interaction pattern. Out of many factors leading to individual juvenile crime, it has been found that those minors who feel rejected by parents or feel either inferior or jealous of siblings or having suffered from mental conflict, they indulge in delinquency as a solution to their problem. The other type is group supported crime. In such type of crimes, the crime is committed under the influence and support of others. The cause is related to the culture of the individual's home and neighborhood. When young people get companionship of those who are already delinquent, then the possibility of committing crime increases by many folds. Third type of is organized crimes. This refers to crimes that are committed in groups. The crime is influenced by the values and norms that govern the behavior of group members, that encourage young people to commit crime with the delinquent group to which they are a member of. Next is situational crimes based on a situation. Situational delinquency is based on the fact that often youth people do crime out of impulse or because of the weaker reinforcement of family restraints and because they have a relatively little to lose even if caught. So, these were the types. Now we will discuss the laws and acts involved. In Canada, Youth Criminal Justice Act YCJA came into existence in 2003 and amended in 2012. This act considers the young people engaged in crimes above the age of 12 years and below the age of 18 years. The basic aim of this act are first to rehabilitate and reintegrate the young offenders so that they won't commit any offense further in life. Second, the accountability of the criminal act will depend upon the maturity of the offender. Third, the young offenders will be treated with fairness and their rights like privacy and taking help from lawyer, and adults are maintained. Fourth is providing timely intervention by linking consequences and offences. YCJA have provision of extrajudicial measures for non-violent offenders like shoplifting, minor assault without bodily harm, etc. These are just a minor. In this case, the young offenders require repairing the loss of the victim, attending specialized program to make him accountable of the consequences, and some volunteer work. But if the young offenders are charged of serious and violent crime, then they will be sent to youth courts. The court will declare the sentencing depending upon the seriousness of the crime. It can be community-based sentences. Youth will be placed in a community under strict supervision, or custody-based sentences. Youth will be placed under custody as well as in the community. These sentences can vary from 2 to 10 years. In case the young offenders are facing emotional and psychological issues, proper therapeutic treatment are also provided to them. Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Act JJDPA came into force in 1974 in United States. This act was reauthorized in 2015. The aim of this act is providing care and custody to the children, youth and families involved in juvenile crimes and promoting community safety and prevention. This act created Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, which is responsible for programs for preventing juvenile crimes, fund research on youth crimes and collecting statistics based on youth crimes. They have 4 important mandates or core components in this act. Deinstitutionalization of status, that is one of them. Of deinstitutionalization of status offenders, which means status offense are those minor offenses whose actions would not be considered offenses where adults like skipping school, running away, breaking curfew and possession of alcohol. Status offenders will not be detained or confined, and if yes, then only for 24 hours in some exceptional cases. These young offenders will be giving community-based services like residential homes, counseling, mentoring and educational services. Adult jail and lockup removal, which is termed as a jail removal. That is the second. The youth will not be confined in adults jail or lockup except for limited time period. This is to protect the youth from any psychological and emotional damage to them. Next is sight and sound separation. In the exceptional situation where the youth has to place in adults jail, then they will not place next to adult cell or in common shared spaces. Next is disproportionate minority contact. It states that states are required to assess and address the disproportionate contact of youth of color at all points in justice system, from arrest to detention to confinement. The acts like Children and Young Person Act 1933 and Crime and Disorder Act 1988 determine the juvenile justice system in United Kingdom. Laws in United Kingdom believes that children between age of 10 to 17 years could be considered as offenders. They could be sent to youth court, given sentences and sent to special homes. The young offenders won't be sent to jail or police custody. Instead, they will be sent to Social Service Department of local authorities. The court issues sentences like supervision orders, action plan orders, which is community-based programs, and detentions. According to Criminal Justice Act 2003, for very serious crimes committed by the youths, they are trailed in Crown Courts. Crown Courts take case of murders and sexual offences in UK. The young offenders are not placed in same jail with the adult criminals, but in secure training centers, children's homes and young offenders institutions. Library of Congress 2015 quoted from there. Now its laws and acts in India. First, law for youth who commits crime came into existence in 1850 by the name of Apprentices Act. According to this act, children between 10 to 18 years of age found indulging in crime were placed in apprenticeship in a trade. Gupta 2010. After this, the Reformatory Schools Act 1897 came in stating that children below 15 years who commits crime would be sent to reformatory cell where reforms can be done. In 1986, Juvenile Justice Act came into existence. This act provides provision to care, protection and rehabilitation of juvenile delinquents and neglected children. This act under section 2A consider juvenile as a boy who has attained age of 16 years and girl who has attained the age of 18 years. Later on, this act was revised in 2000, named as Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection. This act revised the age group to 18 years for both the genders. This act states that the children who are with conflict with law would be sent observation homes, and it is termed as observation homes, and the children who are being neglected and need care would be sent to children homes. Under this act, the children who commit crime will not be tried under the criminal code and would be detained for 3 years in a special homes. The act was amended in 2006 and special emphasis was given on protection, care, rehabilitation, education and vocational training for the juveniles. The major change in the act came in force after Delhi gang rape on 16 December 2012, which was said by SAIT 2016. It was heinous crime. In this gang rape case, a juvenile was involved in raping, torturing the victim, and after which the victim died. This whole issue raised debate on the age of juvenile and trial. They received Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection Act 2006. It's known for the Nirbhaya case. The committee led by Justice Verma denied changing the age under this act, stating that adolescent's brain is still developing and they are not fully mature to take sound decision, because of which they may engage in such crimes. Another thing, it was argued that JJ under Act 2006 is based rehabilitation of the youth and not punishing them by putting them in prison with adults criminals. This will again damage the development of the child. Later on, Mr. Subramaniam Swamy along with Ms. Menka Gandhi and with the help of mass protestation by the people of India, the Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection of Children Act 2015 came into the force. In the new act, under section 15, juveniles between 16 to 18 years of age who commits heinous crimes like rape and murder will be tried under the Children's Court. Children's Court means a court established under Commission for Protection of Child Rights Act 2005 or Special Court under the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012. Wherever existing and where such courts have not been designed, the Court of Sessions having jurisdiction to try offences under the Act. The board will complete all the assessments regarding the child's mental and physical capacity to commit the offence and the circumstances that led to such offences. The board will also take help from a psychologist or social worker. Based on the report of the assessment, the court will decide whether the child will be trial under the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973 or not. The Children's Court must ensure the provision of reformative service like educational services, vocational and skill training services, alternative therapy like counseling, behavior modification therapy and psychiatric support. The JJ Act 2015 removed the term juvenile to child or child in conflict with law. It refrains itself from using any negative connotations. This act also provides clear definition of petty, serious and heinous offences committed by the children and orphan, abandoned and surrendered children. They clearly stated the powers of Juvenile Justice Board and Child Welfare Committee, Ministry of Women and Child Welfare 2016. Now, the summary of this portion is the main aim of these laws are enacts to rehabilitate and integrate the youth. These laws are just focusing them to punish them but help these youth to develop into a better individual by providing educational, vocational and counseling services. These youths are the future of the country and it's duty of the government authorities to work for the betterment of these youths, providing the rehabilitation services, help the youth not to engage in future crimes, and whenever they go out in the society, they can earn their living. If the youth receives unhealthy environment in these children's homes or not able to get appropriate services, then it could lead to further and maybe a permanent damage on their personality. Thank you.